I want to use mathematics to explain why every single human being on earth is related to each other. And that includes you and your wife. So that means that all human beings on earth are products of inbreeding to some extent. So let me use mathematics to explain this. First, we relate to each other in terms of degree of relatedness, starting from the closest relatives who are first degree relatives to the farthest relatives who are like third, fourth degree relatives. Beyond the sixth degree, you may not even know your relative. And that is where the inbreeding begins. So your first degree ancestors are your parents, your mom and your dad, and they are two. Your second degree ancestors are your grandparents, that is your grandma and your grandpa, and your other grandma and your other grandpa, and they are four. And your third degree ancestors are your great grandparents, and they are eight. So already you can see a pattern there. So if we represent this pattern with a triangle, then we have an infinitely large triangle, beginning with a single individual, that is you, and expands outwards, towards your parents, then your grandparents, then your great grandparents, then so on and so forth. And the pattern which I mentioned earlier that is emerging is that the growth is exponential. Another way to say is geometric progression. The factor that it is growing by is 2. So you are doubling every other generation. So those who know exponential growth know that the numbers stack up very fast. And soon enough, you will have trillions and trillions of human beings calling themselves your ancestor. But here is the problem. Science says currently we have 8 billion human beings, but those who have lived and died in the last 190,000 years or so are around 117 billion humans. So 117 billion human beings have ever existed. And yet, if I use mathematics, your ancestors are more than 117 billion. Let me explain. It only takes 37 doublings, which is 37 generations, to get to that 117 billion. And obviously, human beings have existed for way, way longer than 37 generations, because 37 generations is only 1,000 years. Yet humans have existed for more than 5,000 years if you count creation alone, and for more than 190,000 years if you believe in evolution. For ease of calculation, let's use 5,000 years instead of 190,000 years. So 5,000 years is a total of 167 human generations. So that means 167 doublings. So if you double 167 times, then you get to a number that has 50 zeros following it. So this is such a huge number that there is no way we have had that many human beings on Earth. And yet, you are related to that many people. So, the only way to reconcile is that there is a lot of overlap in relatedness. So, let's go back to the triangle that I drew earlier. So, if you look at that triangle, then it only represents the ancestors of a single human being. But we have many human beings. So it means that each person has their own unique triangle. For us also to make sense, then it can't be just single point intersections. There must be multiple point intersections in those triangles. These multiple points of intersection cannot be represented by individual triangles. So these triangles must intersect, and they must intersect in a complex manner, creating a polygonal structure. So if we were to represent human ancestry, then we will create a complex polygon that is made up of intersecting triangles. So let me just finalize by giving a very practical example. We all come from families, so at least most of us know our relatives well. So if you look at your family tree, there is that one quirky branch of the tree, whereby you have people in your family who are related to you, both from your mother's and your father's side of the family. And now you know why you are related to trillions and trillions of people who can't possibly have existed. So the only way to reconcile that existence is by acknowledging there is a lot of overlap. Thank you.